What is it?
This is called kanun.
Kanun.
Kanonaki in Greek, yes.
Kanonaki. Oh, could you play?
Yes.
And just record something.
Yeah, yeah.
In Lieu of Odysseus, the Folly of Writing. I began this exceptional adventure in Calypso of Corfu, in passing and wandering the streets among my fellow tourists, expatriate and Corfu, in an expectant wait for my crew of my coming voyage. Calypso is a beautiful town, unabashed by its exceeding visitors, where it has always been a tavern of the sea to a merchant and traveller, ecclesiastic and regal companies. And in shadow of my voyage, the echoes of history from these stones, in the Venetian fortress, the Maitland monument, or the British municipal, call out movements in time past, adventure and peoples, wars and loves. I wondered what Corfu, Ionia, and Greece I will meet in this history. So after an excursion inland, off the back of the vertiginous Pantocrator, down by the Durrells and dwellings in the Vix, my company arrived for our voyage on the sea. So sparse a group were we. We boarded our mistress, Calypso, and departed from our havens and put out to sea. And northward we listed, around the head of Corfu, past Albanian shores, to seek out what we had not seen. The winds were fair, the cliff faces loomed to our port, and on the rumoured tales we sought the coast where Odysseus was washed, and the Phaceans did host. But sighted and found in knuckled havens under tumbling mountains, above the gnawed thrashing sea of the Ionian, was a monastery, the monastery of Paleocastritsa. So we anchored in a haven and went ashore, past isthmus and up promontory, to discover the monks. And we did. Among their mosaics and blossoming gardens with their cats, and paid meek adoration in their place of worship, and admired the icons among the silver and gold of the visions, saints, and disciples. So pleasant a place to muse with God, I envied the black-habited monks. We slept in the blessed bay, and at dawn arose and made way. I mused in ways on how Odysseus came and went, and what happened to him. Are not we all an Odysseus? Where misfortune and fortune comes and goes, aren't we tossed about by gods in their rages and pathoses? Unassuming where we will end up, or be, but surprised nonetheless when we get there. For me, it seems some brilliant fortune of a voyage, perhaps setting out for Troy though, and not returning to it. To be with companions and explore not only the crumbling masonry of history, but our friendships and minds. So off we fled in such minds, and although it rained on our passage to Parga, it was not without rainbows, and we were spared from any misery. That was until we found the mouth of the river Styx. And to Hades we wished to see, like Odysseus, up the Acheron. And like Odysseus, we made libation to do so, although ours was inaccurate, and we were not led into the land of the dead to see Achilles, but only into the Necromantian, where we found ancient stone and pottery, and cool earthly spring, Calypso, our guide and bosom, carer and nurturer, took us down the coast of Greece, and with her we found the languidness of her constant cradle. Give us hammock and we'd swing, rock and swell, but in wondrous dreaming. We found with her our appetites expanding and refining, and by Calypso's heart in the galley we took the spoons and pans and boiled broths and steamed and intensified the hot air, so that with tummies enriched and placated we would whirl away into the nights with verse and song and stories and experiences. Expedition. This voyage was it all. But one particular expedition was made on land. We'd sailed over the battleground where Octavian beat Antony and Cleopatra at Actium, and into the inland sea we discovered Nicopolis and the temple of the emperor, where Octavian consecrated his victory with the founding of a city, and we found some of the city by ruin and under heavy sun. I will not forget those nights in the little havens, oh the tavernas, and by the gently breaking water on the quay. To eat and drink Greek, and repose in words and laughter, in kind company, is there no greater pleasure? I take also away with pleasure what I had seen, in so many closings of day, the burning of skies in the air and on the water. Moments are fleeting, yet that remain strong in mine. Like the dawn at Sappho's leap, for I long to rest my eyes on her rocks on which she, the great poetess of antiquity, dashed her body and parted her soul in despair of her love. But to Ithaka we bore, and Kephallonia we saw, and Zakynthos far south we went. From those isles happy our hearts were spent. For to step on the isle where Odysseus had sped off to Troy, and after toil and longing returned, where Telemachus had weighed with his suitors, was an honour beyond all prestige. But this is a strange odyssey indeed, with seemingly no apparent suffering, only just the withering wait to catch a fish, which was not even shared. My turn to suffer like Odysseus arrived when everyone disembarked Calypso. For I remain on Calypso, she had trapped me in her bosom. For weeks, when what it seemed were years, alone and longing for home, in such strange fashion of this parody. In that long maddening wait, I heard something afar, a sweet lulling sound. It was the song of the sirens, and by some twisted fate I had no crew and beeswax to stay my desire. I went and found those nymphs in their caves, and brought them perversely to Calypso's, and my solitude was broken, and my heart found joy again. Gratitude is too little a word to describe the way I feel for all of this that had happened. Will the captain of this vessel truly know? The Lord knows how strange a fortune and privilege it is that such a voyage comes about. How lucky I am, not only to be on Calypso in the Ionian, in lieu of Odysseus, and see the sights and places I have seen, but there with all those fantastic souls I ventured with, their kind faces and warm company. So special was it all. How forlorn I was in its passing, to part from those companions. We truly visited those happy isles.
Nice dive.
The seas were sapphire coloured, and the sky burned like heated opal through the air. We hoisted sail, the wind was blowing fair, for the blue lands that to the eastward lie. On the steep prow I marked with quickening eye Zakynthos, every olive grove and creek, Ithaca's cliff, Lycaon's snowy peak, and all the flower-strewn hills of Arcady. The flapping of the sail against the mast, the ripple of the water on the side, the ripple of girls' laughter at the stern, the only sounds when 'gan the west to burn, and a red sun upon the seas to ride, I stood upon the soil of Greece at last.
Hurry up, Will, because you're the highest of all.
This time's going well. Yeah.
Right, count down to 3, you will, and then we'll kill.
Do you have any words?
I'm really scared.
Just jump.
Your posture doesn't say that.
That scream as lowered madly as I was.